man. How you guys doing tonight? I can hear you guys. How you guys doing tonight? You guys having a good time tonight so far? Awesome. I'm good, actually. I'm great. So my name is G. My original name, I go by Guillermo. Guillermo Astorga is my original name, but I go by G mainly because people can't say my name, so it's awful. I grew up that way. But I'm here just to talk about a little bit more of as to how I got to this position and why I'm here. So I started playing guitar when I was 8 years old. Literally, my aunt took me a little guitar that looked like a ukulele, but I promise you it was a guitar. I was this really hairy kid who was playing guitar, it was awesome. My family was really into church, and so they told me, like, the only way you can play guitar and we'll take you to these places if you join the church choir. And I was like, all right, sure, why not? I'm 8. What else am I going to do? So I started playing guitar, with the choir. That's really where I got my practice. It's really where I got the interest from it. And by the age of 14, I actually became head of the church choir, and kind of helped direct it on, would you practice with people and all of this fun stuff. So that's really kind of where I really got that stage presence. Just really enjoyed being in front of people. I didn't really know it at the time, though. And then high school came along, and you know how it is in high school. We have those feelings, we have those emotions, and I met a girl, and me being the low self-esteem teenager that I was, I had no idea how to express it to her. Like, hey, like, I kind of like you. Like, we should probably, like, maybe go get some pizza, or whatever high schoolers did back in 2004 or 5. And I just really had no idea how to just come up to her and be like, hey, let's go out. And so I came up with the idea. It's like, you know what, I can sing. Let me try writing some songs. I ended up writing her this song. I think back to it, it's just the corniest thing that I've ever written to date. Maybe there might be some later on. And so I sat her down in the band room, and I'm shaking, I'm shivering, I'm just like, oh my goodness, like, this is gonna be embarrassing or awesome, or maybe a little bit of both. And I sing her a song that I wrote about her, and she looks at me, she's like, that was really good, and yeah, sure, I'll date you, but you need to sing the song at the talent show. I really would like to see that, and I think you have that potential. And I'm like, no. But then again, I was like, yeah, because I need to impress you still. And so there I am. I'm in my senior year at Greeley Central. Talent show's there. And all of a sudden, halfway through the show, even before I go up, like, it's probably half an hour before I go up, the PA just stops working. No audio is working whatsoever. And all of a sudden, the coordinator comes up to all of us who still have yet to perform, like, oh my goodness, like, we don't know what to do. We need someone to go out there and just play or do something, like, whether it be drumming or this, and that. And I'm just like, I'm not going to volunteer without, being able to really show with, like, a mic or a guitar. But my friend, who I guess he was a friend, he volunteered me instead. So I was just like, dude, what are you doing? But I was like, all right, fine, I'll do it. And I played my song in front of the entire school. And as soon as I was done, it was an eruption, and it was this feeling that I've only felt very few times since then. And it was just that feeling of satisfaction of, I did something and people actually enjoyed it. And that's where a small seed was planted into what I am now. I'll get a little bit more into that here in a bit. Now, after high school, I immediately took a job at a bank as a teller. I worked there for 5 years, and it was crazy. Like, you have like this idea of just like, you need to make money, you need to make a living, you need to do this, you need to do that. But the more I was going into that, the less I focused on music, and the more I just focused on just, hey, waking up, go to work, come home, go to sleep, and that repetition. And the more that would happen, the more I realized my happiness was dwindling. It got to the point where I would wake up and just be like, why? Like, okay, like, what else am I going to do? Like this is a secure job. I'm living. I have a roof under my head. I have what I need. All right, let's go ahead and do this. But even then, when I was at work, I wouldn't give my 100%. I would argue with my boss about, like, me wanting, like, I don't want to sell credit cards. Who wants to do that? And things like that. And it just got to a point where I was not happy. I had still played music on the side. I would do open mics around town, or I'd play a gig here and there. But it wasn't that thought process of just like, let's make this a living. It was just like, hey, let's step out of reality for a little bit. Now I'm I'm really known for singing Valentine's. I don't know if any of you guys have seen my videos, but I go to places and I sing to people for their birthday, Valentine's, things like that. And I did that on February 14th of 2014. Successful night. I was having a blast, and it was so cool to see the reactions of people, like, people crying because I sang to them, and like, oh my God, like, you need to sing to my wife too, because I messed up and I forgot about Valentine's Day. Like, that idea came out. So you're just like, yeah, for sure, I'll help you out, because what better way not to do that? And that day really kind of made me like realize, like, hey, like, might be able to make this work out, but I really didn't make anything of it. And so throughout that time period, I'm not sure if it was either before or after, I stumbled upon a video, and the video was simply titled, "If Money Were No Object." And this is by a philosopher named Alan Watts. He's one of my hugest inspirations, and he talks about what do you desire and what makes you itch. And so he asked his students, if money wasn't an object, what would you do? And people would be like, I want to be a poet, or I want to be a writer, or a musician, or I want to ride horses, climb mountains. And his response was, do that and forget about the money. Because if you're thinking about the money, you're simply just wasting time. And that was the moment I realized that music was what I wanted to do. And so it changed my world completely, but yet I was still working at the bank. So a couple of days after Valentine's Day, it was February 19, 2014, I snapped. I had a mental breakdown like no other. I was at work, and I was like, you know what, screw this. I'm not going to be here. I can't do this anymore. I went up to my boss. I was like, I quit. I'm sorry. She's like, well, do you want to finish the day? I was like, no, I kind of want to leave now. And immediately the first thing I did, and I will never forget this, the first thing I did was I got in my car and went to a bar and had a beer just to realize, just kind of recreate, what the heck just happened. And I panicked, and I was like, okay, you know what? We can make this work. Enough places where you can go play, and, we make this a living. Like I said, this was on February 19th, 2014. Almost 2 days to that moment, or 2 years to the date that I quit my job. And it's been 2 years since then that I've been doing this full time. And I would not change a thing about it. I am happier than I've ever been. I know who I am. And the fact that I'm here is so humbling, that I'm making moves, and maybe I'm not what you might call success, but I'm pushing for what I want. And that's because I have a passion. I found my passion. I found that itch that I'm trying to scratch. Now, there's times, don't get me wrong, where I feel like society is telling me, you know what, you need to settle down. My parents, you need to have kids, get married. It's the way to do things, that's the Mexican culture. You should have 5 kids by now, kind of thing, And so for me, it's just, I know what I want, and this is it. And, I tell myself all the time, who is to say what's right and wrong when it comes to your happiness? And this next song is about that. This one's called Who's to Say.